Hello everyone, this is compound 50, lecture 7. And the plan for today is to talk about files. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about reading from files and writing to files. Right. And for today, I'm going to again use this lecture notes of Mariam. And as usual, well, we'll have some code examples. Okay. So let's start with what are files. So far what we had, all our variables were, so all the programs we wrote used variables in the main memory, okay, in RAM, which means once we turn off our computer or even just close our Python program, that's it. All the variables just disappear. But you know, we also have the hard disk, and the hard disk, or it's called secondary memory, so it's not erased when the power is turned off, right? So we can store things on hard disk, right? So we store there all sorts of files that we need, or I don't know, our Minecraft games, I don't know, all sorts of stuff that we need. We store them on hard disk so that when we turn off the computer, we want to use it again. Yeah, it's still there. Okay, so what we'll do today is we'll learn how to work with files. Okay, so our focus will be on reading and writing files. And uh, so here's what you do. First thing that you'll need to do when you need to open a file. Basically, when we want to open a file, we ask the operating system, oh, I would like to use the file. So this is the file name that I have. So let's say it's hours.txt. And just to reveal what's really inside hours.txt, so here is what this file really looks like. So there is maybe a person's ID, name, and these represent the hours that they worked this week. Okay, so this is just a text file. Okay, so no secrets here. And here's what we'll do. We'll ask the operating system, give me a handler to this file. And if the file doesn't exist, you know, this open function, it will return an error. Okay, so hours will be the name of the file, and open is the function. Okay, so it's a function in Python that what it does, it asks the operating system, give me a handler to this file. Okay, so what's a file handle? Uh, it's it's not the actual text in the file. It's only our way to access the file. So it's like some, yeah, our way to access the file. I don't know how to say it better. So it's a variable that stores some information about the file. Okay, so it's not only does it store the text of the file, but maybe it also has other useful information, like when the file was created, is it read only or write only, or I don't know, some other information about the file. Okay, so this is the example that I showed you. So this is what the text looks like. So maybe it records the ID, the name, and the hours this person worked this week. So maybe Susan worked 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and Brad worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and Jen worked was kind of 5 days, each day 8 hours, well, except 7.5 in the last day. Okay. So I will tell you how to read the file. So this is what we're going to see next. And basically I will first tell you in words and then we'll see code. So basically each line ends with a special character that's called end of line. And the character for it is /n. Okay, so /n, it's not two character, it's one character. It's a special character, right? It has slash and then n. And slash says, it's a special character that looks like two, but really it represents end of line. Okay. So here is our first example. Okay, so our first example would be to open a file and count how many lines we have in the file. Let's try, or you know what? Let's make it an even simpler example. Um, Here's what we have. So we have this file called hours.txt. And if you're wondering exactly where it's located, so it's located in exactly the same folder. So I have this my PyCharm projects folder. Inside I have lecture7, and I have this hours.txt file. Okay, so this is what I have here. So the folder, right? So this is the same folder where I have my Python code. All right. So first, what I'm going to do, I'm going to print. Okay, so let me just run it and see what it does. So it does exactly what you expect it to do. It prints. So first it prints the file handler. So this is this first line. And then, well, I have these minuses. And then I print first line and second line and third line. So this is this for loop. Okay, so the for line in file handler. So basically go over each line and print the line. Okay, so print the first line, the second line, the third line. Okay. Um, a few, right. So I need several comments. So first of all, line ends with /n. So if you want to get rid of /n, maybe you want to use strip because as you can see, when I print it, it jumps to line. So one line is for the end of line of this guy and another jump because print has its own. So maybe we'll use strip to get rid of the uh to get rid of the /n at the end. And slash should go in the other direction. Oh yeah. And another important thing is close file. So when you're done with your file, you should close the file. Because if you don't, let's say I want to open the file again. And somehow I forgot to close. And let's see. So I'll try opening again without closing. Hmm, it still works. Okay. Uh, I don't know, but it's still safer to close. Please do close your files. Uh, I'm not sure why. Maybe for reading, it's not as important, but it will be important for when writing, it's definitely important. So for writing, it's definitely important to save the file. Well, yeah, okay, I tried, it didn't work. But for writing, it's definitely important to close the file. But please always close your file, even when it's for read only. Um, all right, so this little exercise didn't work. Let's make it look a bit nicer. Okay, so what do I mean a bit nicer? How about we will add some more information. For example, I will have a line count. It will start with 0. And in the end, I would like to write something like the file has uh, line count lines. You know what? I will also add some more information like uh, yeah, I'll make the formatting a bit nicer. So basically I write line 0 is this, and line 1 is this, and line 2 is this. Okay, so now the formatting is a bit nicer. All right. And in the end, so it counts to 2, but then it does another +1 third time. So when we reach here, actually line count is 3. Okay, so this is a way to read from a file that and count how many lines it has. Okay. So how about so let me remind you, there's no need to remind you, the file is basically right here. So what I would like to do next is another exercise. And what this exercise will do is, uh, we're going to actually parse the file. Okay. So here's what we're going to do now. I would like to not only, so let me tell you what it does. Okay, let me show you what it does. I would like to say, uh, I would like to do something like this. I would like to print some basic information, in a nicer form. For example, I'll write total hours is this, and average hour per day is that. Okay. So first, I just copied my previous file, but then I would like to do it again. And this time I would like to collect some information. Or how about we just do it in one line? Okay, sorry about char. Okay, perfect. So we'll first print the line and then we'll print some information in a nicer form. So what I would like to print, I'll print the ID and then the name and then total number of hours and then the average number of hours per day, right? The average hours per day. So here's how I do that. Okay, so I take each line. So first I print the line. Okay. And then I split the lines into tokens. So what are tokens? So basically whatever is between spaces is a token. So 1 to 3 is one token, Susan is another token, 12.5 is another token, and so on. So each of these is a token. The zeroth token is the ID, right? Because this is the format of our file. Token in position 1, that's name. What do I want to do next? I want to iterate over all other tokens. These represent the hours every day. And let's say we compute the sum first. How do we compute the sum? So for I in range, right? So we start from 2. Why do we start from 2? Because the 0 and 1 represent the ID and name. So we skip those. We start from 2 and we iterate over these numbers and we compute the sum. And then we can return the sum. And then not only do we return the sum, but we also can return the average. So the average is sum divided by, number of tokens minus 2. So minus 2 is because we subtract the ID and the name. Oh yeah, and one more small thing that I add here is if you notice, I add this 2f. So the reason I add 2f, it means I change the format so that I see only two decimal digits after, so it's only two digits after decimal point. Okay, so the f represents how many digits the 2 represents how many digits I see after decimal points, and f represents float, I suppose. Okay, so this is the way to format your file. Okay, but for example, if I didn't do it, then it would have all sorts of first of all precision errors, but also the number would be very low. Okay, I want a nicer format. 2 digits suffice. Okay, this is our second example. So, and if I also wanted to say how many days they worked, so I would probably also add number of days, and I would write here length of token minus 2, I guess. Let's see if this works. Oh yeah, number of days is 4, and okay. So now we have total hours is this, number of days 4, average hour per day 7.85, right? Because Susan worked only 4 days and Brad and Jen worked 5 days. What else? How else can we modify it nicely? So we can put /n's here everywhere. Let's practice this /n example. Right, so /n, what it will do is for each person, yeah, it doesn't look particularly nice. How about we try this? Okay, this is better. So this is the original line, and then we have ID and name, and then we have total hours, number of days, and average hours per day. Okay. If you like the slash n, keep it. If you don't, you don't have to. Yeah, maybe someone needs. All right, that was our first example, how to read things from a file. Let's try a couple of more examples. Right, so just to emphasize this, Python splits the data in the file into separate lines, and we can read each line separately, right? So we have this file handler, and when we say for each line, so we iterate over the file line by line, and it knows that it's the end of file when it sees, we know it's the end of line when it sees slash n. Okay, so a line is just a string. Okay, so this is one example that we saw. So we need parentheses, right? So this is some older version of Python. Yeah, we talked about this, so we can use strip to get rid of the slash n. Let's try another example. So for the other example, um, let's try the following. We'll write a function that gets a file name and reports the length of the longest line in the file. So this time we'll use this Jabberwock file. So it has 4 lines. And I suppose this is the longest. So this is what we're going to return. Okay, let's try this example. So this will be example number 3, longest line. Okay, so this time we're going to get the file name from the user. And okay, we'll get the file handler. We pass the file handler into our function. And then how do we find the longest line? In the beginning, we'll remember the length and we'll remember the line itself. And for each line, we'll say, get rid of the slash n in the end. And if the length of the current line, so maybe txt is not a great name. Maybe we'll change it to something better. So if we go to refactor and then rename, it actually allows me to change the name everywhere. So current line was changed here and here and here. So here's what happens. If the length is longer than the longest length so far, we will update longest length to be the current line, and the longest line will be this current line. And in the end, we'll print the longest line and we'll print its length. Yeah, I think it's a pretty straightforward exercise. Just finding maximum, but not maximum of numbers, but maximum among a bunch of strings and their lengths. Right, basically, this is exactly the same as finding maximum in a list. List of what? List of, well, the list is this file handler, and the items are the lines, or rather the lengths of the lines. Okay, good. So let's try to run it. So what's the name of my file? Okay, the name of the file is jabberwock .txt. And it says the longest line is, let's see if it's true. Yeah, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. This looks like the longest line, and it has 41 characters. That's what it says here. Okay, so I believe. Good. Oh yeah, one more thing. So the file doesn't necessarily have to be in the same folder. Let's say I put this file into some other folder. Yeah, I don't know what folders I have. Let me put it somewhere completely different, like here. All right. So let's run it again, and I could provide the full name. So c/Igor/ what is it, jabberwock.txt. and it still reads the file from there. Okay, so usually, at least for this course, the name of the file will sit in the same folder as our working folder, namely where we have all our Python files, but it doesn't have to be. Okay, it can sit anywhere. All right, so let me go back to the my folder. Okay, right. So here we go over the lines one by one, and each time we remember the length of it. Right, we compute the length of the line, and each time we remember the length of the longest line, and then in the end we output the longest line. All right. Okay, and here it's done without remember the length, only remembering the longest line. Yeah, same thing. Okay. Let's try to get some more information from the file. And this more information will be basically, so here's what I want to do now. Yes, I would like to write how many words I have in each line. So here I have 5 words, and here I have 8, and here I have 6, and then I have 3. Okay. So again, enter the name of the file, open the file, and then report longest line. Oh, I should rename uh, it to count words. Sorry. Do refactor. Yes. Oh, I hope you didn't change this. No, you didn't. Good. Okay, so count words. So it was changed here and here. So very convenient. Refactoring, you should use it whenever you can. How do we do that? So again, there is line number that we sort of say, oh, I want to keep track of, am I in the first line, the second line? And for each line in the file handler, we'll take the line, we'll split it into words. So right, so remember, split what it does, it returns a list of all words in this line. And how to remember the number of words? Well, it's the length of the words. And then we print. Oh, yeah. And this all could have been done using just one line. So, there's no need for 3 lines. So what we return is the length of the line split. It's a more concise way to write it, but, I want to be nice and I want the things to be readable to you. So I wrote it in 3 lines. Okay. And when we run it, yeah, we get the number of words for each line. Good. Very good. Is there anything else that I want to say about this example? No, I think that's all I wanted to say here. Okay, so this is the example reports the number of words in each line. This is exactly what we wrote now, right? So it's exactly the same. So we get the split and then count the length. Oh yeah, and then of course, yes, you can also return it in the list. So here's an exercise for you. Uh, Return the number of words in the list, the number of words in each line in the list. How do you do that? You create an empty list, and instead of printing, you will each time append uh, the next number to the list. Okay, and then you return the list. Would you like to do it? Sure, we'll do it right now. So it's only slightly modifying this one, right? Um, so let's call it red. In the beginning will be empty. And what we will do is we'll say red dot append words number, and in the end we return red. Okay. And here we can print uh, all lengths in a list. Uh, and when we run it, no, where is my file name? Yeah, we get also the list. Yeah, we get all the lengths in one list. Yeah, that also works. All right, good. Okay, we already saw this example, calculating how many hours each day. Okay, here is our next example. I would like to get a file name, and what I would like to return is each line I would like to reverse the order, right? So beware the Jabberwocks, my son. I would like instead to be written son, my Jabberwocks, the beware. Okay, and I would like to do it for each line. And not only that, but I would like to make it slightly more interesting. I will kind of combine two things in one. In one, uh, I would like to write the the result into a new file. Okay, so let's see. Now we have only three files, right? The text files, ours, Jabberwock, and num. And there will be a new file called ref.txt. And here's what happens when I run it. So when I run, I create a new file called ref.txt. So let me delete it and show it again. It's not, okay, it's not here now. I run, poof, magically appears. And what ref.txt has is the no, the original text, but in the reverse, the words are in reverse order. Okay, so here's how we're going to do it. So notice now I'll have two functions. So basically, I have the source name and the target name. So this is the source name, right? I'm not getting it from the user. I'm sure you know how to get it from the user. This is the target name if you won't get it from the user. And I call the function called reverse file. Here's what it does. It opens the source. This time I will emphasize that it's read. Target will be as write. Okay. And here's what I'm going to do. For each line in the source handler, I'm going to, I could have done it in two steps. So I'm going to reverse the words. So I'm getting a new string. And I will write this, how about I do it? Yeah, how about I do it in two lines just to emphasize it? I will write it to the target file, and then I'm going to finish it with /n. And then I do it for each line separately. And in the end, I'm closing the source and closing the target. Very important to close the target. So this corresponds to save the written stuff into the file. Okay, and the only secret is how do we reverse a word? So we get a line and we want to reverse a word. So here's how we do it. First, we split the words into tokens. How about, just to reveal the secret, we're going to see what words looks like. It will be a list of all the words in one line. All right, so, here, this is the first line. Right, the first line is, we have a list containing each word separately, including the comments. Then we do reverse. So what reverse does, Well, it reverses the list. That's exactly what it does, right? So the list was like this. How about I separate them to emphasize it? So the list was like this, and now it's in reverse order. And then we use the function join. So what the function join does, so basically this is the command. So basically it puts a space between every two strings in my list of words. I'm going to comment this out, but you're welcome to use it whenever you. Okay, so let me try deleting this rev. It didn't work from here. It will work from. Oh, come on, just delete it. Okay. Um, and when I run it, so what happens is each time we invoke this uh, reverse words function that returns me reverse string, and then I write the string to my new file to the target. So here's what happens if I forget to close. Yes, delete, delete. You know, oh good. If I forget to close, yeah, the file is still created. I'm not sure why. This is very suspicious. So maybe this close is not as necessary as I imagined it to be. Um, Interesting. I don't know. Still, remember to close a file every time. Okay, so this part is somehow confusing to me. I don't know why. So that's our example that, now we use not only one function, but we have one function calling another function, right? So we have sort of a smaller subroutine that only says, given a line, reverse the line. That's all you need to do. And then once you do that, yeah, it's sort of pretty straightforward, right? You reverse the line and then you write it to the target. And of course, I could do this, right? I could do it in one line. Yeah, and of course, I could do that, and now it's really one line. Okay, that's our example. Okay, so we did both reverse words, and we wrote it into a new file. Amazing. So we did two things at once. Okay, so here's an exercise for you. I will not do this one for you, but you should do it yourself. Write a program that reads a file of gas prices. So these are the gas prices, yeah, I don't know for what, on each day of the year. And you will need, so let's say this is US and this is Canada. Well, maybe this is in US dollars and this is in Canadian dollars. Yeah, I don't know. And your goal is to output the average price of gas in the first column, right, for US, and the average price in Canada. So this is your goal. This is what you need to do. Okay, so just output it to the screen. So what will you do? You'll read each line and you'll have two variables, one remembering the sum here, one remembering the sum there. Yeah. And then you go line by line and you'll accumulate the sum in the first one and the second one. How will you read the sum? You're going to take each line, split it into tokens, convert it into a float, right? Like the zero and tokens in position 0 will be the US price, tokens in position 1 will be the Canada price, and you ignore the date. You ignore the date. Please do this exercise yourselves. Okay, I'm sure you can do that. It does it for you. So basically, yeah, you take each line, you strip, you split, you get your tokens, then tokens in position 0, this is the US price, token in position 1, this is the Canada price. Okay, and right, so this is total Canada, this is total US, and then you compute the average. I revealed the answer to you. All right, but no, don't look at the answer and just try doing it yourself. Okay, so this was about writing to files. Yeah, pretty nice. We already did this one. Mm, right, so there is another example. How about you try this other example? Write a program that reads all lines and somehow shuffles them. So it will get, again, I will not do it, but this will be a good exercise for you. So you need to read all lines into a list of lines, shuffle them, and put it into a new file. Okay, so we get file name, the input and the output. You want to read all the lines. So how do you read? You have a list of lines and you will append each of them to the list of lines and you return it. And there will be this shuffle function. So shuffle basically what it does, it uh, takes your list and shuffles the items in random order. Yeah, and then you print the list into your output file. Please do it yourself. Okay, it's not very hard. You can follow this code and do it yourself. All right. So here is our last example for today. I would like you to, or us together, to write a program. So it gets a bunch of numbers. So really, these will be the numbers. Okay, just a bunch of numbers. And here's what we'll do with these numbers. We would like to get some statistics. So statistics means computing average, computing standard deviation, and also writing histogram. So let's say we know that the numbers are between 0 and 100, or between 0 and 99, and I would like to write some statistics. So the statistics would be how many numbers are between 0 and 9, so we'll put stars, how many are between 10 and 19, how many is between 20 and 29, and so on. Okay, so we write this program. So for example, there's three numbers between 90 and 99. So the numbers here are, what is it? This guy, and the 90. So 90, 97, 95. So we'll put 3 stars. And if you don't know what standard deviation, I will just tell you the formula. Okay, so it's basically you compute the average. So the average is 52. And you measure on average, what's the distance of each number from the average? So for example, 45, it's pretty close to the average, or 50, it's pretty close to the average, but 2 is pretty far from the average. So 2 will contribute a lot to the standard deviation, and 50 will contribute very little to the standard deviation. I will tell you the exact formula, don't worry about it. Okay, let's see this last example. Okay, so here's what we do. So we get the file name, and we first get the list of numbers. Okay, so first, I'm not showing you what the files are. Sorry, what the functions are. I'm only showing you how to do it. Okay, so I'm giving you, we get the file name, we get the list of numbers, and we print the numbers. That's all we do. After that, we print the average is the average of the numbers. I suppose this function is easy. Right? Just the average of all numbers. Then standard deviation, yeah, it's something similar to the average function. And then here's what we do. We get the function called hist. And what hist does, it returns us how many numbers are. So hist in position hist in position 0 tells how many numbers we have between 0 and 9. Hist in position 1 returns how many numbers we have between 10. Let me write it here. H in position 0, how many numbers we have between 0 to 9. Between 10 and 19, between 20 and 29, and so on. And then we're going to print it. Okay, so then we'll say for I in range 10, so meaning, 0 up to 9, but it will correspond sort of to 0, 10, 20, 30, and so on, up to 90, well, So what we'll print is I times 10, which means we'll print 0, and then 10, and then 20, and then 30, and then up to 90. And it will be up to I times 10 plus 9, which means, you know, 9, 19, 29, 39, 49, and so on. And then we'll print this many strings. Okay, so this is what it looks like. When we run it, these are all the numbers. And then we print I think this works. No, this doesn't work. This works. No, this doesn't work again. So how did it work previously? Oh, I should add. Okay, okay. So now mm, I'm sorry. Give me a second. I will. Okay, we're ready. Okay, so now we have only 2 digits, or maybe we'll add like 3 digits. That's all. Great. Good. So let's go over each of these functions separately. So first, we have a file name, and we'd like to get the list of numbers. So how do we get that? Yeah, so we have a file handler that says open the file as reading, get a list for each line. So each line is basically one number and then slash n, right? So this is remove slash n and cast into minutes. And then append it, right? We could also do it in one line, but let's do it in two separate lines. Okay, then we close the file and then we return the list. That's get list. That's what get list does. Average, I'm sure you can all do the average, right? So you can put the sum and divide by the length of the list. Yeah, you could also do it even simpler to say return, how do you write it? Sum divided by length of LST. That would also work. That would also work, and in fact, I recommend this. But we want to be explicit uh, just for practice. All right. So how do we compute standard deviation? So let me tell you what's the formula for standard deviation. So we compute the average of the list. And then for each number in the list, we take the difference of this number from the average, raise it to the power 2. And this is what we take. All right. So again, we take each number in the list, we take the square of this number, and then we divide by standard by the length. So let me give you a simple example. Let's say list is, I don't know, 1, 4, 5. Um, so what is it? 10? No, let's make it set. I don't know, 1, 5, 6. Okay. Then here, average is, so what's the average? It's 4. And what's the standard deviation? So here's how we compute standard deviation. We take 1 minus 4 squared plus 5 minus 4 squared plus 6 minus 4 squared. Okay, we compute sum, which is this number, which is, I guess, 9 plus 1 plus 4, which gives us 14. And then stdev is equal 14 divided by 3. Why by 3? Because we have 3. 14 divided by 3, yeah, whatever it is, right? 4.666. Okay. If you understand this example, great. If not, yeah, don't worry about it too much. Basically, some way to compute the standard deviation. Okay. So this was about standard deviation. And what's the last one? The last one is histogram, right? So, okay, so this is the most interesting function. How do we compute the histogram? So the histogram gets the list. And here's what we do. So in the beginning, the histogram will be empty. Basically, we'll have all zeros. And then for each number, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a number. I think this, right. We're going to, okay, so we're here. To divide it by 10, right? So let's say we get a number like 84. When we divide it by 10 without remainder, okay, with remainder, but we throw away the remainder. So basically, if we take, for example, for 84 divided by 10 returns 8. Okay, so ignores the remainder. Okay. So we know in case of x84, we need to put it in the 8th cell. Mhm. So we update h in position for 84 in the 8th cell, we increase it by 1. And this way, h knows in each entry what should appear, right? So it counted 2 numbers here, 0 numbers here, 2 numbers here. And then we print it. And how do we print it? Well, we print it using, uh, yeah, using these stars. Okay. And one last comment. I guess this 2D, it says, I want it as a decimal number and I want to have at least 2 digits. So if it has less than 2 digits, I'm going to put a space between these numbers. So just like 2F had some meaning, here 2D also has a meaning, and the meaning is it must be at least 2 digits. Okay, and it has less than 2 digits, we'll put a space. Okay, that's all I have to say for today. So what did we learn today? We saw a bunch of examples related to reading from files and writing to files. You'll practice more of this in your. All right, that's all. Thank you.